Hello and welcome back to The Good Life. Welcome to episode 12. Today we are going to be talking about the nervous system, and this is going to be a different type of episode where we are going to talk about how to regulate your nervous system in real life, going through two case studies of a woman who, number one, is not doing anything to regulate her nervous system throughout the day. And then number two, a woman who is doing a lot of different things to regulate her nervous system throughout the day. So the knowledge in this episode is going to be building on previous episodes. So if you are a newer listener, you can still listen to this episode and you will probably get a lot out of it, but you will get even more out of it if you go back and you listen to episodes 2 and 11. So episode 2 is titled Why You Feel Exhausted, but Your Brain Won't Shut Off. Episode 11 was actually published last week, and it is called The Connection Between the Nervous System and Better Sleep. So this is not going to be an episode today where I go over the nervous system and I talk about it in depth, because that information is in episode 2 and in episode 11. Now, I have an 8-week sleep program that I am super proud of. I think it is the best sleep program that I have ever seen. I have had sleep issues myself. I put myself through a program that has pieces of my program in it, but I will tell you, my program is much better. Ever since I have improved my sleep, I have gone out and I have gotten specialized training in cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, in sleep anxiety in the brain, in nutrition for mental health, in tons of different things. And I have used all of that knowledge to develop my program. And my program ties in nervous system throughout the entire thing. So this podcast, of course, I'm going to be talking about the nervous system all the time because it is so important. We talk about other things too, but the nervous system is just so important. But if we ignore it, I don't think you are going to get very good sleep results. And remember, I am a mental health counselor. So I have master's degrees in mental health counseling. I'm a licensed mental health counselor and I'm a sleep coach. So my knowledge about sleep comes from behavioral and habitual things that we are doing that are impacting our sleep. If you are dealing with sleep apnea, restless leg, something like that, night terrors, different things like that that need to be medically treated, this might not be the only thing you need. However, these types of things will help you change your behaviors and change your habits, and that is going to help you get better sleep. So remember that as you listen to this podcast, that is my specialized area. That is my scope of practice. There's other areas of sleep that are outside of my scope of practice, so I'm not going to be covering those. But today we are talking about the nervous system. So I'm going to break down the day of two different women. I have some notes in front of me, so you'll see me looking down at my notes so I don't forget important things in this conversation. But these are two women, same schedule, same job, same responsibilities. However, woman one, she is a woman who goes through her day not really considering her nervous system at all. She is going through her day in survival mode, just kind of on autopilot, and her nervous system is highly dysregulated throughout the day. And you're going to see some of the things that she is doing that are contributing to that nervous system dysregulation that are also going to contribute to poor sleep the night after she has a day like this. So we're going to go through her first, and then next we're going to go through the same person, the same job, the same lifestyle. However, she's going to be doing a lot of different things to support her nervous system and to regulate herself during the day. All right. Are you guys ready? Are you with me? All right. So this person is going to wake up at 6 a.m. Okay. So woman number one, her alarm goes off at 6 a.m. What she does is she is exhausted. And so she hits snooze. She hits snooze like 3 times. Okay. My snooze is 9 minutes. So she's waking up about 6:27 instead of 6 a.m. Okay. She's already exhausted. She's hitting snooze. She finally gets out of bed, but she has, used up 30 minutes of her time. So she is rushing out the door around 7 a.m. She has not had time to have breakfast. She did make a coffee. So she's got like a carry-out coffee in hand. That becomes her breakfast. She rushes out the door and she heads to her job. About 9 a.m., she is at her job. She still hasn't eaten. She's down some coffee, so she's got that caffeine rushing through her system. She hits her inbox. Her stress spikes. She powers through her morning. She gets through her morning. Around 11:30, she hasn't gotten up from her desk. She is working, like many people do. She is working. She is starting to notice some tension in her body, but she ignores it. She powers through it. And then around 1 o'clock, she decides to take a break. So at 1 o'clock, she realizes, I am starving. And so she either goes across the street, gets a sandwich, does something like that. Maybe she doesn't have time to leave. On this particular day, she actually doesn't have time to leave. So she grabs a couple of Kind bars, a couple of, granola bars out of her desk, and she eats at her desk. She has two of them. She says, like, I'm not just going to have one. It's not a snack. I haven't eaten all day. I need to eat more. So she has two of her Kind granola bars. She sits and she answers her emails and she plugs away at her work. And then she is moving on with her day. And so she continues to work, and around 3 p.m., her energy crashes. She is very, very tired. And so she goes and she grabs like a sugary, carby snack. She has another cup of coffee, and then she continues on with her day. So she pushes through with her day, and then she ends up leaving work about 5:30 p.m. She is so tired. She is exhausted. She's mentally drained. She heads home, and she gets home and she's very, very tired. She's still stressed from work. She pushed through her day. She had a lot of things going on. This is a busy, ambitious professional woman who is dealing with real stuff at work. So she has had a very busy day. So she pushes on, she gets home, and she is irritated about some things that have happened at work. So she just kind of pushes that aside. She sits down on her couch. She scrolls her phone for a while. She knows she needs to work out. She can go to like a Pilates class, or she can go lift weights, or even go for a walk, but she is too tired. So she just chooses to scroll for a while. And then she realizes she is starving. And so she gets up and she goes into the kitchen and gets whatever she can there. She actually makes herself a really big meal. She's starving. She hasn't eaten all day. So she has a very, very large meal. Eats that food, and then continues on with her evening, watches a little bit of TV, takes care of her personal hygiene stuff, and then she goes to bed. She is exhausted when she goes to bed. So she goes to bed at 10 p.m. and she is like, I am going to fall asleep so fast. And as soon as her head hits the pillow, she is like wide awake. Her mind is spinning and she cannot stop thinking about work. She's highly, highly frustrated. This goes on for quite a while. She finally falls asleep, and then she has like a awakening about 2 a.m. And then when she wakes up, it's one of those wake ups where you just like startle awake and all of a sudden you feel like that cortisol and that stress in your body. And so it was highly stressful for her. She eventually falls back asleep, and then her alarm goes off at 6. She's exhausted, she's tired, but that's her day. All right, that is woman one. What does that sound like? Does it sound like you? It sounds like a lot of people I work with. It sounds like how I used to be too. A lot of those habits are things that we do all the time. I used to work with women in personal training and nutrition, and almost every single woman who came in to work with me was doing similar things like this. They were having coffee, they were subsisting on coffee until lunchtime, and then they were having like a smart, sensible, healthy lunch, and then they were starving at nighttime. So many women do this. It is very, very common. All right, so now we're going to talk about woman two, okay? We went through the day of woman one. Woman two, same woman, same job, but this is a woman who is taking care of her nervous system, all right? So her alarm goes off at 6 a.m., just like woman one. But what she does is, even if she didn't have the best night of sleep, she gets out of bed. She starts her day. So 6 a.m., she rolls out of bed no matter what, because she knows that having the same start time every single day is really, really good for your circadian rhythm and for your sleep. So she wakes up, even if she doesn't want to, she doesn't hit snooze. This allows her to get up and have a soft morning. She doesn't have to get up and rush around. She is able to relax and do some things. So around 6:30 a.m., she has a cup of coffee in hand. She doesn't skip her coffee. She has her coffee. So she has her cup of coffee in hand, and she goes and she sits outside, and she gets some natural sunlight in her eyes. So she is able to have a soft morning. She's able to get some things done so that at 6:30, she is not just rolling out of bed after hitting snooze a lot. She is having a nice cup of coffee. She is savoring it. She is enjoying it, and she is getting that natural sunlight in her eyes. Okay? So she ends up leaving about 7. She has 15 minutes out there. She goes and she finishes getting ready for the day, and she leaves at the same time. So she leaves at 7 a.m. She heads to work. On the way to work, she thinks about her day. The night before, she has put a list together at the end of the day, so she knows exactly what the day is going to start out like. She has a game plan for the day, and she knows what she's going to do when she gets there. So she gets to work, and she begins her work with a plan. She doesn't begin reactively. She has a plan. She follows that plan, and she gets right to it. She's been working for about an hour and a half, and she notices that tension in her shoulders and her neck. She's been working at her computer and sitting in a chair for a while. Instead of ignoring it, she takes some deep breaths and decides she's going to take a break. So she's going to go and walk for a little bit, do some stretches, step outside, have some water, and then come back and continue with her work. So she takes a little break. It's like 5 minutes. She's not going out there for 20 minutes and doing a meditation or anything. But she notices that tension in her body, and she takes care of it before it settles in or before her nervous system starts really reacting to it. So she works and works and works for a couple more hours. At noon, she takes her scheduled lunchtime. She has actually prepared and brought a meal with her from home. This is not anything crazy. She has just prepared a nice, well-balanced meal of things that she knows are going to make her feel good, that are going to work well with her digestive system, and are going to fuel her for the rest of the day and for her evening after she gets off work. Instead of sitting at her desk and checking emails and returning messages and things like that, she actually takes her lunch outside. She sits down, she takes a moderate break. She doesn't have an hour and a half. She has about 20 minutes. But she removes herself from her office and she gives herself a true break. So she sits outside, she consumes her lunch, she relaxes, she does something other than work. And then when lunch is over, she comes back into her office and she continues her work for the rest of the afternoon. At 2 o'clock, she has some stress come up, same stress that the other person did, the woman number 1, but she notices it and she takes a little break afterwards. So it's something stressful that comes up during the day. She can feel it in her nervous system. She can feel the stress start, but instead of just pushing through it and continuing on with her work, she actually does take a break, gives herself another 5-10 minutes. It's nothing super long. She doesn't have to leave for 3 hours, but she is able to go out and release that stress and take a break, and then she comes back. So when she comes back, she works a little bit more and then realizes it's about an hour before I need to leave for the end of the day. So she decides this is going to be her wind down period. She gets done the things that she needs to get done to make sure she's not carrying anything into the next day that she doesn't have to carry into the next day. She makes a list. She tidies up her area. She actually goes through and finishes what she needs to for the day. And then at 5:30, she is able to transition away from work and leave work feeling very, very different than woman number 1, who just pushed through the day, not paying attention to her nervous system, not taking breaks. So it wasn't like a crash end of the day. She was able to like smoothly transition into it. So when she leaves the office, she can head home. She notices that she's actually a little bit hungry. It's been about 4 hours since lunch, so she has a snack with her. She consumes that on the way home because she knows that it's going to be a few more hours before she eats her dinner, which she has planned for the night. She's grocery shopped over the weekend and has her meal planned and knows what she's going to eat. And she knows that she wants to do some movement before she has her dinner and before she winds down for the night. So she has a snack. And then when she gets home, she gets ready to go and do her movement. And she doesn't go and do like the craziest workout ever. She goes out for a walk, she does some strength training, and then she's able to come back from that, get ready for the evening, have her meal, which she prepared for. And then in the evening, what she does is she does something that is relaxing. She takes care of things around the house. This is a person who has multiple things to do. She's carrying a lot of things, but she takes care of things around the house. And then she knows she's going to go to bed around 10 o'clock. So around 9 o'clock, she starts to do her wind down routine. And then at 9 o'clock, she starts to wind down. At 10 o'clock, it's bedtime. She checks in with herself. She's tired. She's sleepy. She's ready to fall asleep. She doesn't have anything that if she lays down is going to go like chatter in her mind and keep her up. And she lays down, and within 30 minutes, she's asleep. These are the same woman, right? The same job, the same life stressors, the same different things that they have on their plate. But the way woman one and woman two move through their day is very, very different. So woman one, she is not doing anything to regulate her nervous system. She is not doing herself any favors with the choices that she is making. She is setting herself up for a day that is running on stress hormones and cortisol. And no wonder when she lays her head down at 10 o'clock at night, she's not able to fall asleep. And no wonder she's waking up in the middle of the night with that stress response. That kind of stuff happens when you go through a day like woman one and you don't take care of yourself. Woman two, clearly she is doing a lot of things to manage her sleep rhythm, her circadian rhythm, as well as her nervous system. And they are interrelated. So she's waking up at the same time every day. That is one of the most powerful moves that you can do for good sleep, is to wake up at the same time every single day, even weekends. So she's getting up, she's having a slow start to the morning. She's still having caffeine, right? You don't have to stop your caffeine. But she is not consuming caffeine throughout the day because she is so underfueled that she feels like she needs it to fuel. She can have her caffeine, she can enjoy it, and it's not going to impact her sleep because she's doing other things like eating throughout the day and taking care of her nervous system and taking breaks and not drinking caffeine late into the evening, so she is able to take care of herself. Like I said, this is a little bit different of an episode. This episode is weaving in real life situations, storytelling, things like that into what you have been learning in other episodes about the nervous system, because it is so important. And taking care of your nervous system and taking care of yourself is going to allow you to sleep well. If you are surviving on stress hormones and caffeine, you are not going to sleep well. But if you start taking care of yourself, if you start doing things that are scientifically proven to improve your sleep and to improve every single part of your life. We know, I talk about this all the time. Sleep is the foundation of everything else. If you have a strong foundation, everything else in your life can be better. If you are not sleeping well, everything goes downhill really quickly. Just talk to somebody who is on day 3 or 4 of crap sleep, and you will know their mental health plummets. They have like their worst thoughts and their worst mental health experiences when they are rolling in on hardly any sleep. When your sleep is good, everything else can be good. And it is truly the foundation. And it is why it's my specialization. It's why I love it. It's why I have my program, is because if you can figure out how to improve your sleep, every other part of your life is going to improve. And once you know these skills, they stick with you. It doesn't mean that they're going to just go away. So improving your sleep is wonderful. It is highly impactful. It is the foundation of everything. And I hope that this episode was incredibly helpful with giving you some ideas about how you can move through your day so that you can regulate your nervous system throughout the day and in turn sleep well and have the kind of life that feels good and the kind of life that you want to have. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.